What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. Really interesting dialogue today on Twitter. Some people were discussing the top linebackers in Madden 21, in which Bobby Wagner, being the number one overall, was questioned. Now, I've said in the past, ratings cannot be done by 1 or 2, 15, 20 people. It takes a lot of data to really compile it, and even once you've rated them, people are still going to have issues with it. I don't have an issue with Bobby Wagner being number one, but I have an issue with the statement Bobby Wagner is absurdly well-rounded and was still the best linebacker in football last year, despite being put into terrible situations by the coaching staff. I responded to this with, essentially, he's defending a rating with coaching staffs that the game doesn't even have in place. Now, this guy, if you don't know, had a very well-known franchise channel. EA brought him in from that. And obviously, we've still yet to see coordinators be brought on board into Madden. Now, he responds to this with something that just blows my mind. Does he not realize who I am? I mean, he must. He says, ratings are based on film. Knowing how teams and assignments work are valuable to the context for discussing players based on some assignments. It's just stop. It just stop. Because what you're saying doesn't even make sense in the context of your game. Number one, there's no excuse that coordinators don't factor into these players. And if you're going to tell me that you're hindering a player's rating based on coordinators on the team, knowing that your game doesn't have coordinators that would equate to why that player isn't successful, that should tell you all you need to know about what you need to be working on. But let me offer this to you as a Colts fan. This is the last 2 years. Now, we're talking about film, right? Who are you watching? We talked about this in the past. Did you miss when Darius Leonard was injured watching those games, so maybe you didn't remember how great of a linebacker he is? Are you overvaluing the tackles here? 297 tackles to 284? Were those tackles so critical that it gave you a higher rating for Bobby Wagner? They weren't tackles for losses because Darius Leonard had more. They weren't tackles that were miscited as sacks because Darius Leonard had more. They couldn't have happened on the interceptions that he had because he had more. He couldn't have tackled anyone on a forced fumble because he had double. Where are you getting this context from? You're telling me it's film, but the numbers don't lie. And the other part of this is, if you're telling me that it's all on film and it's all coordinators, then what in the world was this all about? Remember that big hype train that you drummed up with the Madden ratings performance adjusters, where the guy said, this is the best job in the world. I get to go out and adjust players' ratings just on going to the stadium. But it's all on film, right? The fact of the matter is there's so much missing football-wise from this game. And before somebody says, oh, you're just being negative, you're just hating, it used to be in the game. You used to be able to go and assign a head coach with an offensive, defensive, and special teams coordinator. And if they all didn't work hand in hand, you would have issues. But if they did, you'd really see a boost in your team. And granted, this isn't just EA. You can go to Axis Football, for example. They've had coordinators in their game for years. Their coordinators actually have badges. Their coordinators actually track what they've done as a coach. You can actually promote them and demote them. Yet Madden isn't even here. Imagine saying to someone that you're using something not in your game to determine the ratings of your players, and then telling us it's all on film while you have Barry Sanders on the sidelines in a ratings performance adjuster jacket. Because to me, so much of Madden isn't caring about football. It's not worrying about X's and O's. It's not even making sure you get everything right. It's what can we promote to the public? What can we show from a PR standpoint that makes it look like we've really got everything together? What can we put out here to a person that's never played, seen, or knows anything about this game to leave with the impression that we've got things going in the right direction, that we're really on the cutting edge of making the best football game? I know what we can do. We can create a logo and put it on jackets and shirts and send former players and randoms out and make people at the stadium see this that have never played the game and think that we're so ingrained in football that we've got boots on the ground at football games assessing every aspect of the game to make sure we're running simulation football. Well, how is Barry Sanders going to be used for the yard this year? It doesn't make any sense, guys. You can't even defend the game with logic from the game. You know, what I want to see is you tell me, hey, Bobby Wagner's the number one linebacker, even though he's got coaching issues. But you bring him to a scheme that fits him better, and he'll be far and away, without a doubt, the best linebacker. And you can do that in Madden 21 because we've allowed you to have defensive coordinators this year. And you can find somebody, you can find a coach or a team that's going to actually fit him better. And then you'll have a more realistic experience by seeing how great of a player he can be. But Madden just isn't there. Other games are there. Madden's been there, but it's not there now. And the fact that he literally would sit there and try to have conversations with people about defending the game, using things that aren't even in the game, using context that isn't even accurate to what we've seen, and continue to just carry along. Like everyone just forgets. Everyone just forgot that we used to have coordinators in the game. Everyone just forgets that we literally had an article that said the Madden Performance Adjuster was the best job in the world to have. Our fans, the people that buy our game, have the attention span of a single year. And they forget everything from one year to the next. So we can say and do whatever we want, we can project however we'd like, and we have no fear that it's ever going to come back on us because people will just ultimately forget. And I hate to say this, but the reality is there is some truth to that. It's not a single year, but there's about a 3 or 4 year cycle of people with this game where they either come on board and start playing it and don't know what the game's had, or they walk away from it because they know the experience is just so awful that they've decided to go another route. Just talked about both those things on my channel independently, as a matter of fact. Love to know your guys' thoughts on this. Appreciate you checking it out. You know I will be back in the week with more commentary.